You know, when you're building something, maybe with Legos, you could just stack bricks randomly.
Sure, you could.
But the real fun, the magic, happens when you actually have an idea, right? Like a spaceship or a castle.
Yeah, plan. A reason why you're picking certain pieces.
Exactly. That why, that underlying idea. That's kind of the essence of purpose in your future career, isn't it?
That's a great analogy. It really is.
It's about figuring out what really matters to you and feeling that your work actually connects with that deep down.
Mm-hmm.
So today we're going to dive deep into why this feeling, this sense purpose, isn't just some, nice little extra.
Right. It's not just icing on the cake.
It feels pretty fundamental, actually, to building a career that feels, well, fulfilling, that resonates with who you actually are.
Absolutely. It goes beyond just the day-to-day tasks, looking at the bigger picture of your professional life. And we've got some really interesting stuff here that unpacks how this whole purpose thing works and why it's worth thinking about, like, right now.
Okay, so let's nail it down. When we talk about purpose in work,
Mm-hmm.
what are we really getting at? What's that feeling like?
Well, at its core, it's that deep-seated sense that what you do for work matters to you.
To you personally?
Yes, that it lines up with your core values, what you believe in, and maybe contributes to something bigger that you find important. It's like an internal compass, you know?
Guiding you.
Exactly, guiding your choices and efforts toward things that feel meaningful on a personal level.
Okay. And what happens if that compass is, I don't know, missing or maybe just spinning?
Mhm.
What are the downsides people might run into without that sense of purpose?
Yeah. The material we looked at points out some pretty big drawbacks. First, there's often a real lack of excitement.
Like the random Legos again?
Right. It gets boring fast. Work without that why can just feel like a grind, a joyless chore.
No.
Second, people can feel, well, insignificant, like they're just a tiny cog in some giant machine.
Yeah, like what you do doesn't really make a difference.
Precisely. Your individual contribution feels lost. And maybe the most critical thing is when challenges pop up, and they always do, right?
Oh, yeah. No job is challenge-free.
That lack of a driving purpose makes it so much harder to stick with it, to persevere. There's no strong reason pulling you through the tough spots.
That paints a really clear and honestly kind of bleak picture. So let's flip that. What are the real upsides then? Why should someone actively think about purpose when planning their career?
Oh, the advantages are huge. For one, work just tends to be way more enjoyable and engaging.
Because you're actually into it.
Exactly. When you feel your daily stuff is contributing to something you value, you're naturally more invested. And that often means you do better work.
Right. The quality goes up because you genuinely care about the outcome.
Totally. Plus, focusing on purpose helps you see how you can make a positive impact, even if it feels small sometimes. Your effort feels like it counts.
So it sounds like ignoring purpose isn't just about missing out on feeling good. There could be actual, long-term risks involved.
Definitely. One big risk is just being unhappy, even if you're successful by traditional measures, like making good money.
Money doesn't buy happiness, as they say.
It often doesn't buy fulfillment, that's for sure. You might also feel kind of stuck in jobs that don't really help you grow personally or professionally because you haven't connected with what truly drives you.
Yeah, you're just there.
And ultimately, you might miss the chance to use your unique talents, the things only you can bring to the table. It's like having this amazing special Lego piece, but never using it in your build.
Oh, I like that. That idea of untapped talent really hits home. Okay, so as people start grappling with this idea for themselves, what are some key takeaways or lessons from the sources we looked at?
There are some really helpful, encouraging points. One is that exploring different things is actually part of the process. Finding your purpose isn't usually like, boom, one straight line.
Right, it's messy sometimes.
It often involves trying stuff out, seeing what clicks, what doesn't. Another key thing is realizing that small contributions can still be really meaningful expressions of purpose.
It doesn't have to be save the world level stuff.
Not at all. It could be making really good pizza consistently or helping animals or just being really good at helping your team. It's about the intention and the connection.
Okay.
And finally, paying attention to your feelings is huge. Like, what activities or environments make you feel energized versus drained? What feels good versus, yucky.
Listening to your gut, basically.
Yeah, those emotional responses are powerful clues about what truly aligns with you.
Okay, so we understand what purpose is, why it's important. Let's get into the rewards. What are the actual tangible benefits when you do find that link between work and purpose?
Well, one of the biggest ones is this incredible boost in motivation. It goes beyond just, getting a paycheck. We could call it super motivation.
Super motivation. I like it.
Think about a school project you absolutely loved or a hobby you just can't wait to do.
Yeah, you don't need anyone to push you.
Exactly. That drive comes from inside. Purpose in your career lights that same fire. For instance, we saw material about someone working at a recycling plant. Their motivation wasn't just the job itself, but their deep commitment to helping the environment.
So the purpose fueled the work.
Totally. It wasn't just sorting trash. It was contributing to a healthier planet. That core belief kept them dedicated.
That really changes how you think about work ethic. It's not just discipline, it's being pulled by something bigger. What's another big advantage?
Another really powerful benefit is this desire to get really, really good at what you do, to become a super expert, maybe.
Okay, so purpose drives mastery.
It often does. When your work connects to your purpose, you naturally want to learn more, improve, refine your skills. Think about a passionate musician practicing for hours.
They're not doing it just because they have to.
Right. They love the music. Or think of a doctor whose purpose is genuinely helping people feel better. That drive pushes them to constantly learn and improve their medical skills.
So it fuels professional growth directly. That's interesting. What's the third reward?
The third big one is feeling like you're making a real impact. As humans, we generally want to feel like our lives matter, that our work means something.
Yeah, that sense of significance.
Purpose connects your daily tasks to that bigger contribution. It makes you feel part of something more important than just your specific job description. The example used in our sources was someone at an animal shelter.
Okay.
Their purpose was helping animals. They could see the direct result of their care every day, and that tangible impact felt incredibly rewarding and reinforced why they were there.
Wow. Okay. Super motivation, becoming a super expert, and making a real impact. Those are pretty compelling.
They really are.
All right, we've covered the bright side. Let's flip back again. What are the major pitfalls if you just ignore purpose, if you don't factor it into your career choices?
Well, one of the most common ones is that feeling of the Monday blues, but forever.
Ugh, constant dread about the work week.
Exactly. When your job just doesn't mean anything to you personally, that feeling of reluctance, even dread, can become a permanent fixture. It's a huge red flag that something's misaligned.
That sounds absolutely exhausting.
Yeah.
It's another risk.
Another big one is feeling disconnected, almost robotic, like you're just going through the motions on autopilot.
Yeah, no real engagement.
Right. When there's no personal connection, work becomes monotonous, your creativity gets stifled. You're just not bringing your full self to it.
So it's not just about being unhappy, it actually holds you back professionally too.
Mm-hmm.
And the third major pitfall.
The third one circles back to what we mentioned earlier, missing out on using your unique super talents.
A special Lego piece again.
Exactly. Everyone has this unique mix of skills, interests, abilities. If you don't think about purpose, you might just drift into roles that don't use those strengths at all.
And that potential just sits there, unused.
Wasted potential, essentially. Like having an amazing tool that never gets taken out of the box.
Okay, it definitely seems worth engaging with this idea of purpose to avoid those pitfalls. Now, for someone listening who's thinking, okay, I'm sold, purpose matters, but how on earth do I find it? What kind of guidance did the sources offer on that?
That's the crucial next step, isn't it? One really important insight is that purpose can change. It can evolve over time.
Oh, that's good to hear. It's not like you find the purpose and you're locked in forever.
Not at all. Just like your favorite hobbies or interests might shift as you get older, your career purpose isn't set in stone. It can deepen, change direction as you learn more about yourself and the world. So staying open to new possibilities is key.
It takes some pressure off, for sure. What else?
Another key point is that purpose often isn't obvious right away. It's usually not some sudden lightning bolt moment.
Ah, shame. That would be easier.
Wouldn't it? No, it's more often a gradual discovery process. It involves self-reflection, trying things out, experimenting. The sources mentioned the flower exercise from that classic book, What Color is Your Parachute?
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
It basically gets you thinking about different parts of yourself, skills you enjoy using. subjects that fascinate you, people you like working with, your core values, and you brainstorm around those to see what themes pop up.
So it's like gathering clues about yourself.
Exactly. It's a structured way to explore.
That sounds practical. And the final piece of advice on finding purpose.
The last really vital lesson is that pursuing purpose doesn't automatically mean you have to, become a starving artist or sacrifice financial security.
Ah, the purpose versus paycheck dilemma.
Right. And while finding work that feels meaningful is crucial, paying the bills is obviously important too. The ideal goal is to find that sweet spot where your purpose and your financial needs actually align.
Like building that Lego set that's both really cool and structurally sound.
Perfect analogy. It's about finding that synergy, not assuming it has to be an either or choice.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense. Now, you mentioned the sources had a really great story about someone named Alex who found purpose across different fields. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Alex's story is a fantastic example of how this can play out in real life.
Hmm.
So Alex started out in a job packing boxes. Pretty straightforward work, mostly just for the paycheck.
Okay. Sounds like it might lack purpose.
According to Alex, it did. They described feeling like they were just going through the motions, no real connection, kind of robotic, like we talked about. Definitely not fulfilling.
Right. So what changed for Alex?
Well, Alex started asking some deep questions, like, what do I actually care about? What matters to me? And through that self-reflection, they realized they had this real passion for helping people learn things.
Ah, so that became the core purpose, helping people learn.
That was the key insight. And that realization became the driving force for all their next career moves.
Interesting. So how did that play out? What were the steps?
Well, Alex moved through 5 different industries, believe it or not, but that core purpose, helping people learn, was the constant thread. First step was tutoring.
Okay, makes sense. Directly helping students learn.
Exactly, working with kids on subjects they struggled with. Alex said the pay wasn't amazing initially, but the feeling of helping a student finally get something, that was incredibly rewarding and lined up perfectly with that newfound purpose.
So they prioritized the purpose fulfillment early on. What came next?
Next, Alex took their skill for explaining things into a tech support job.
Different field, but still explaining things.
Right, helping people understand their computers, solve problems. The industry changed, but the core function of simplifying information and empowering people through knowledge was still there. And the pay was better too.
Yeah, you can see the thread. Where did Alex go from tech support?
Building on that, they moved into a training role, actually designing and delivering training for new employees at a company.
Okay, even more directly involved in teaching and learning design.
Yep. Really leveraging those instructional skills, focusing on how to help people acquire knowledge effectively, still guided by that core purpose.
And step 4.
With that growing expertise in training and education, Alex then moved into the education software industry.
Ah, scaling up the impact.
Exactly. Designing learning programs and platforms that could reach way more people. This offered a broader impact and, again, better earning potential.
So each step built on the last, deepening the connection to purpose and increasing responsibility and reward. What was the final stage described?
Well, eventually, Alex's experience and dedication led them to a leadership role in that education tech company, overseeing major projects, having a really significant impact on how people learn on a large scale, and, yeah, achieving substantial financial success along the way.
Uh-huh.
Alex's journey just perfectly shows how zeroing in on your core values, what you're good at, what you care about, it can absolutely lead to a career that's both incredibly satisfying and conventionally successful.
That's a powerful story. It really drives home that focusing on what resonates internally can build a path to external success too. Now, we've focused heavily on future careers, but purpose isn't just for later, right? It's relevant now.
Absolutely, 100%. Purpose isn't something that just switches on when you get your first real job. It's active in your life right now. Think about school.
Okay, how so?
Well, if there's a subject you just genuinely enjoy, that you get lost in,
Yeah.
that's often connected to some underlying interest or curiosity, right? Maybe a fascination with science or history or art. That's a little spark of purpose showing itself.
Recognizing those natural inclinations. Makes sense. What about with friends?
Think about your role in your friend group. Are you the one people come to when they need to talk? The planner, the one who makes everyone laugh?
Yeah.
Those tendencies often reflect something about your purpose. Maybe you value connection or organization or bringing joy. It shows up in those everyday interactions.
I never really thought about it that way. And in the community.
Same idea. Maybe you volunteer at the animal shelter because you genuinely care about animals, Or you join a neighborhood cleanup because you value your local environment.
Those actions are purpose in action, basically.
Yeah. Exactly. Even small things. Acting on your purpose in daily life, whatever it looks like for you, builds happiness and makes a positive difference right here, right now.
It really reframes purpose as something more immediate, more integrated into who we are already.
Precisely. It's not just a destination, it's woven into the journey, into everyday choices and actions. And living that way feels good.
Well, this has been a really, really insightful deep dive. It's so clear that thinking about purpose for your future career is way more than just, figuring out how to make money.
It's about that deeper alignment.
Yeah, understanding what you value, what you're good at, and how you can use those things to make some kind of difference, big or small. And Alex's story really hit home, exploring what interests you now can genuinely build the foundation for a future that's both successful and meaningful.
Couldn't agree more. It's about connecting that inner compass with your outer journey.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Take a minute to reflect on what gives you that sense of purpose right now, maybe in school or hobbies or how you help others. Try to identify, say, 3 things you genuinely enjoy doing, and then ask yourself why. Why do those things feel good or meaningful?
That why is key.
Exactly. That simple exercise might just be the starting point for understanding your bigger purpose and where it could lead you. Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive. When you're building something, maybe with Legos, you could just stack bricks randomly.
Sure, you could.
But the real fun, the magic, happens when you actually have an idea, right? Like a spaceship or a castle.
Yeah, plan. A reason why you're picking certain pieces.
Exactly. That why, that underlying idea. That's kind of the essence of purpose in your future career, isn't it?
That's a great analogy. It really is.
It's about figuring out what really matters to you and feeling that your work actually connects with that deep down. So today we're going to dive deep into why this feeling, this sense purpose, isn't just some, nice little extra.
Right. It's not just icing on the cake.
It feels pretty fundamental, actually, to building a career that feels, well, fulfilling, that resonates with who you actually are.
Absolutely. It goes beyond just the day-to-day tasks, looking at the bigger picture of your professional life. And we've got some really interesting stuff here that unpacks how this whole purpose thing works and why it's worth thinking about, like, right now.
Okay, so let's nail it down. When we talk about purpose in work, what are we really getting at? What's that feeling like?
Well, at its core, it's that deep-seated sense that what you do for work matters to you.
To you personally?
Yes, that it lines up with your core values, what you believe in, and maybe contributes to something bigger that you find important. It's like an internal compass,
Guiding you.
Exactly, guiding your choices and efforts toward things that feel meaningful on a personal level.
Okay. And what happens if that compass is, I don't know, missing or maybe just spinning? What are the